In the quiet corners of your mind, a question has begun to fester. You are the one who shows up early and stays late. You are the partner who provides stability and never causes a scene. You are a good man. So why does it feel like you don't exist? Why is it that when the big decisions are made, your name is never even on the list? You aren't being targeted. You have become a ghost. Today, the architect extracts the code and how you unknowingly from the world's radar. Design is the confusion between to the human brain. Think about the chair you are sitting on or the air you are breathing. You only notice the chair when a leg breaks and you fall to the floor. They do not occupy a single millisecond of your conscious thought. And is always from there you have turned yourself into a utility. People expect you to be there, but they don't value you for it. When you provide total stability with zero friction, there is nothing for people to remember. Where you challenge the status quo in an attempt to be agreeable, but you have made yourself so smooth that people's attention simply slides right off you. Necessary, but utterly beneath their notice. You have followed every rule society laid out for you. You are the loyal friend who listens to everyone's problems. By all traditional definitions, why is it that when the group laughs, their eyes never meet yours, or the exciting invitations are sent out, you aren't being hated? You are experiencing something much worse. You have become the invisible utility of other people's lives. Clinical truth of why your goodness has made you a ghost. Engineered your own disappearance. The first fundamental error in your architectural reliability and presence. Anything that is 100% reliable eventually becomes invisible. You only notice the air when it becomes toxic or when it runs out. As long as they are working perfectly, by being asked too good, by being the man who never says no, never complains, you have become like the electricity in the walls. They only notice you when the power goes out. You remove all psychological non-grip from your personality. Because there was never a moment, you have sanded down every edge of your character, and in doing so, you have become an appliance in the lives of others, useful. This leads us to the death of the primal signal. Human interaction is built on tension. Respect is not a product of kindness. Respect is a product of perceived value and the potential for conflict. When you remove all potential for conflict, when you become the man who agrees with everything just to keep the peace, you signal to the primal brain of everyone around you that you are low stakes, you are safe. But in the world of human attention, safe is synonymous with boring. We are biologically wired to pay attention to things that represent either a threat, a challenge, or a massive reward. Because you have made yourself a guaranteed resource, you are no longer a challenge. Because you have no boundaries, you are no longer a threat to anyone's bad behavior. And because you give your loyalty away for free, you are no longer a reward to be earned. You have successfully deleted the primal signals that force people to pay attention to a man. You are the background noise of the social circle. Furthermore, you are likely suffering from the agreeability paradox. Modern society tells us that the more agreeable you are, the more people will like you. This is a half-truth that hides a devastating lie. Being agreeable makes you pleasant, but it does not make you important. In fact, the more you agree, the less your opinion matters. If you always say yes, your yes has a market value of 0. If you never say no, your no has no power. People forget the man who agrees because he adds nothing to the chemical reaction of the conversation. He is just an echo. They remember the man who had the courage to disagree, the man who stood his ground, and the man who was willing to let the room become uncomfortable to protect his truth. That man has edge, that man has presence. You, in your quest to be the good man, have traded your presence for a false sense of security. You think you are being nice, but the world sees you as blank. You have effectively neutralized your own voice, rendering it a frequency that the world has learned to tune out. We must also discuss the ghosting of the self. You have become invisible to others because you have first become invisible to yourself. You have spent so much time looking at the blueprints of what others want from you that you have forgotten to build your own structure. When you enter a room, you aren't bringing a person with you. You are bringing a service. You are looking for ways to be useful, ways to fit in and ways to avoid being a burden. But a man who is afraid to be a burden is a man who is afraid to exist. Existence, by its very nature, takes up space. It consumes resources. It demands attention. If you are constantly trying to minimize your footprint so you don't disturb anyone, don't be surprised when they don't notice you standing there. You have trained them to overlook you by making yourself as small as possible. You are a ghost because you are haunting your own life instead of living it. You have sacrificed your desires, your anger, appropriateness. You have become so disconnected, no sense that others can track. They are drawn to men who are on a trajectory because you are too busy adjusting. This internal erasure is the most dangerous stage, and start accepting it as your natural state, wandering through a world of solid objects. It is because you have become hollow, leaving nothing behind for the world to actually see or respect, and your passions at the altar of, from your own core, that you no longer have a people are drawn to conviction, but you have no trajectory, your path to avoid bumping into anyone else. It is where you stop resenting your invisibility. You become a shadow of a man, wondering why you can't leave a mark. You have hollowed yourself out to make room for everyone else's needs, leaving nothing behind for the world to actually see or respect. So how does the architect reverse this? How do you move from the background to the foreground? It starts with the strategic withdrawal. If you are a utility that is being taken for granted, you must stop the service. You must become unavailable. The moment the good man stops being the 24/7 safety net, the world experiences a sudden, violent realization of his value. But you cannot do this as a tantrum. You do it as a reclamation of your time and your mission. You stop being the invisible man by becoming the focused man. When you have a mission, that is more important than being liked. Your energy changes. You stop looking for eyes to meet yours for approval, and you start looking toward your own horizon. Ironically, it's only when you stop caring if they see you that they finally start to look. You must introduce friction back into your character. Friction is what creates heat, and heat is what creates light. Stop agreeing with things you don't believe. Start setting boundaries that actually have consequences. If someone mocks you, as we discussed in our previous extraction, do not smile it away. Let the silence hang in the air. Let it be uncomfortable. That discomfort is the grip of your personality. It is the proof that you are a solid object that cannot be pushed over. A man with boundaries is a man who exists. A man who is willing to be disliked is a man who can be respected. You must learn the power of the empty chair. By not being everywhere, you make your presence meaningful when you are somewhere. You must re-establish your value by proving that your time, your attention, and your goodness are limited resources. What is unlimited is worthless. What is scarce is precious. Remember, the Archon does not beg for a seat at the table. The Archon is busy building his own table in a different room. When you focus on your own empire, your goodness is no longer a tool for people-pleasing. It becomes a byproduct of your strength. You are good because you choose to be, not because you are afraid to be anything else. This change in source code is what transforms a ghost into a king. People don't forget kings. They might hate them, they might fear them, but they never, ever forget they are in the room. They cannot ignore the gravity of a man who knows exactly who he is and where he is going. The era of your invisibility ends today. You are no longer a service provider for the ungrateful. You are the architect of your own presence. Stop sanding your edges. Sharpen them. Stop being the air. Become the storm. When you finally stand in your own power, the world won't just see you, they will be forced to acknowledge you. You will no longer be the ghost in the room. You will be the pillar upon which the room is built. It is time to step out of the shadows of your own making and into the light of your own creation. The blueprint has been handed to you. The extraction is complete. Now go build. This is the Mind Archon. Build yourself. Architect level.